Cowboys, right? That's why Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman and Tony Romo, and now here it is for Dak. The question was Dak the problem on Sunday? And going forward, is he the reason they're going to win, or is he the reason you have questions?
Listen, last week I was here and I had Tad on my show, and he put his top 10 list when I said he wasn't top 10. It's not a knock on him. It's not nothing wrong with being Jimmy Butler in the NBA, right? He's a good player, but he has to show us that he can step up and he can elevate his team when the guy across.
Dak is above that, right? Do you know that the Cowboys are favored in this game? Do you know that the Vikings are 8-1 coming off one of the biggest wins in the NFL this entire season? They're playing at home, and the Cowboys are a 1.5-point favorite on the road.
That's kind of crazy. But the fate of the Cowboys relies on Dak. The fate of this team relies on his performance.
How so?
How so? You look at the Packers game. Those 2 interceptions were costly. That was the game. Basically the game. That's points. So if the Dallas Cowboys have expectations and aspirations to become Super Bowl champions, it relies on the quarterback. It relies on Dak to be a top 10 quarterback, not to be average. If he's an average quarterback and he makes the plays like we saw against Green Bay, they are not going to have a deep playoff run. They're not going to be a Super Bowl team. So for the Cowboys to go to a Super Bowl, Dak has to be a superstar. He cannot be average. If he's average, they're just an average team.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, I think you can go to the Super Bowl with average quarterback play, but it's really hard.
And you have to not making that much money because the supporting cast isn't what he had last year.
What do you think?
I thought Jimmy Butler was a great comparison because he is a guy that has elevated his team, right, beyond where a lot of people thought it would go. And he is a guy that has taken teams to the finals, but even if you don't call him a top. So, yeah, I think Dak has to be that guy. Look, I mean, I think Ezekiel Elliott could be back this week. Maybe they hold him out one more week because they have the Thanksgiving game, but that makes them more whole in the run game, so they can maybe lean on that even more than as much as people wanted them to in the fourth quarter last week. I think that the thing to watch is the defense. I mean, Dak, I think, is going to be Dak. You had a 28-14 lead in the fourth quarter. The defense has to hold it. DeMarcus Lawrence listed as a did not practice yesterday. I mean, if you're banged up on that defensive line, then Dallas is going to have a lot of problems that Dak can't overcome.
There are a variety of reasons they lost that game, and I get it. The defense is supposed to hold a 2-touchdown lead, but the offense has to stay on the field a little more. They only ran 14 plays from that point forward. So there's a little bit of everything that goes into a loss that painful. Meanwhile, what does the table think? Let's take a look at the picks. All right, but once again, we are split. Once again, the wrong side of the table likes the Cowboys over here. The players like the Vikings. You're riding with Minnesota.
Minnesota, when you have a win like you had last week, the momentum is on your side. You start believing that you're a team of destiny. Like that was a quality win against a great opponent, arguably the best opponent in all of football. I understand there was a little luck involved in it, but sometimes better be lucky than good. This team is confident. This team is playing at a high level, and they have bona fide superstars. And Kirk Cousins is playing, I believe, at an MVP caliber level, and we have to start giving him credit and stop saying that he's solar powered.
You know what? When Michael Irvin said before the season that his MVP was Kirk Cousins, we all laughed a little bit. Maybe Michael is going to wind up laughing last. We'll see. As we continue, another quarterback we talked about with MVP is suddenly having a very different conversation. That would be Josh Allen. Has he been too reckless with the football? Does he need to change the way? We'll get you there. Josh Allen. He's the best thing to happen to Buffalo in decades. But will his fatal flaw keep the Bills from ever being super? All that and more as we get up with you, starting right now on a Thursday.
Whoa.
Ready to roll.
It's cold. It's a little chilly.
We got snow coming in Buffalo. We got a huge game tonight in Green Bay. We got a great NFL Week 11 getting set to kick off, and we got bold predictions to start him with. Let's go, Dan Graziano. Give me a bold prediction for Week 11.
Are we not going to talk about whack smack? Like, are we just going to let that get said?
Bars.
Anyway,
spitting bars.
That guy you were talking about, Dak Prescott, throws 3 touchdown passes as the Cowboys rebound from their loss and beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, so he thinks Dak bounces back from the whack attack. Bart, give me a bold prediction for Week 11.
Nick Chubb gets it done. If the elements are what we expect them to be, this favors the Cleveland Browns in that ground attack, ugly in the game up and making it a 8-10 possession game. You can't stop this guy. He's all traction. Nick Chubb has a big day.
We could have 3 feet of snow in Orchard Park. Nico, Week 11, give me a bold prediction.
I'm going Jeff Saturday starts his coaching career 2-0. That's right, against the Eagles. Guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. It's Jeff Saturday. He's got this team playing hard. I know they played the Raiders last week, but guess what? They might beat the Eagles. No, you know what? They are going to beat the Eagles.
So says Ninko, the Fighting Saturdays over the 8-1 Birds. All right, it's going to be a terrific Week 11, and it starts tonight. Enormous game at Lambeau Field. Green Bay looking to build on the momentum off of that big win where they snap a 5-game losing streak, beating the Cowboys in overtime as Rodgers threw 3 touchdowns to the rookie Christian Watson. But 62% of the Packers' designed plays were running plays. That's the highest ever with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. Question, does that formula work against Tennessee? Answer, no. The Titans rank 2nd in the league stopping the run. They allow just 85 yards per game. They've not allowed 100 rushing yards in a game since week 2. Their pass defense, however, ranks 31st in the league. So, are we looking at another night where Rodgers is yelling at the coach, we need to run it, or do they need to be flinging it down the field to that rookie Christian Watson? Can the Packers use the same formula they used 4 days ago successfully in this game tonight, build on this momentum, and put together a second-half run?
That's the only chance they have. They have to. They have to earn the respect of the bullies. Teams like Tennessee, the Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers of old, some of Nico's Patriots, you have to earn their respect. And to do that, you can't go in there tiptoeing into the cage. You got to go in there screaming like a banshee, like Brian Billy used to say, and pump them right in the face. And it's going to come down to Thunder Thighs and A.J. Dillon and also Aaron Jones. He's going to have to be tough in between the tackles. You got to say, listen, man, go ahead and lather up today because it's going to be one of those days where we're handing you guys both 20 carries. That's the only chance they have. And then when they get the respect, and they get that safety in the box, that's when you go to the youngster, Christian Watson, and say, we need you to catch one for us, buddy. Can you run the old Terminator, the old number 1? Go deep.
It worked so well for them the other day, and it's the first time we've seen that offense look like anything you might be scared of. They run it, they loosen it up. Can they do it tonight against your buddy Vrabel?
They can, but they have to take advantage of Tennessee's injuries. So you look at Tennessee on a short week. They won 17-10 against Denver. They're going to travel to Lambeau, again, short week, and then they have a bunch of injuries in the secondary. You just saw the stat line on their pass defense. They're 31st in the league. So if you're Green Bay, what do you want to do? You want to try and set the tone early, run the football, but then also mix in the play-action pass and take those injuries into your advantage. Go ahead and attack those injuries because we all know this. In the secondary, when you got backup corners, backup safeties in, you can attack those weaknesses.
So, Graziano, there is a magic number in this game for the Green Bay Packers. It's not complicated, the number they need to get to, and the number is 24. The Titans have not scored more than 24 points in any game this season. In fact, they've not scored over 21 since the middle of September, and the Packers, when they score 24 points or more, have not lost this year. So that's the question. The vintage Rodgers of old, forget that. We're not getting that with this roster. But can they score 24 points tonight?
They can, and you can get an Aaron Rodgers that can do what Ninko's saying, right? Take advantage of the weak spots in the secondary. There aren't that many guys that are as good as he is at spotting that, right? Like, we need to work this mismatch. So, yeah, the run-heavy game plan from the Cowboy game worked because they were having success with it. They stuck with it, and as we pointed out earlier, it's much more difficult to run on the Titans. So I do expect to see them come out throwing. If the Packers win the coin toss, I would take the ball, right? You want to try and get ahead. Don't give it to Derrick Henry and then be fighting from behind all night. So they have the ability to do it. Christian Watson, the rookie, is the key. He has been a big part of their plans all year. He just hasn't been available to them all year. So if he can play the way he played on Sunday, and if he can stay healthy, and if he can catch the ball when it's thrown to him, he adds so much to the offense because it'll open things up for that run game. It'll open things up for Allen Lazard over the middle, and it will diversify the ways in which they can go after a defense. And you mentioned it, Tennessee is really banged up in this game. It's a tough week to be on a short week if you're the Titans.
Particularly on the road. You know, even after 30 years doing this job, it still amazes me how week to week this league is. Yeah. Because last week we're sitting here and Ninko's making signs. They're done.
I might still make a sign.
And all of a sudden, they went done.
Yeah, this is 1 week. They played well 1 week. We'll see.
That's what I mean. They win one game in overtime in which they're losing by 14 points in the fourth quarter, and here we are. Oh, they can make a run. Oh, they have found the formula. Let's put the picks up on the screen, Cindy. Who here at this table believes that Green Bay can do it? We're split.
Well, variety.
But the wrong side of the table likes Green Bay.
I can't
the players like the Titans.
I can't draw signs it's over and then pick Green Bay the next week. All right, I got to stick to my guns. runs here. I think the Tennessee Titans.
Greeny? Will they have the patience?
What does that mean?
You have to stick to the run. It's not about the yards. It's about the attempts. And it's about trying to wear Tennessee down, where some of those runs may not pop in the first half. But you have two big, strong, powerful backs. You have to stay committed to it, and you have to understand that this is going to be a fight. This can't be some boxing match where you're trying to out-finesse those guys because they hit you in the face. And then, listen, it's starting to get cold, and it's starting to become that time where you have to pack your defense in your run game and dare people to stay on the train track.
Here's the fear. You do that, and all of a sudden your own defense is on the field all night long. That's a defense that gave up 28 to Dak on Sunday, and it should have been more. 2 terrible interceptions. Otherwise, Dallas is going to blow that game open.
But you're helping your defense because you're resting them. You want to limit the carries